Continuing our story, we have Jazz and Jory sparring right outside of Jazz's house here. Jazz actually lands a good hit, which actually takes Jory out of the fight. Jory congratulates him, saying he's gotten better and better with every day they've been practicing. Let's say this takes about a week or so after the previous chapter, alright? And Jazz helps her up and cups her face, saying that she gets better and better within the passing weeks as well. However, they're both interrupted by Duncan, who says, "You guys have got to come and see this." Both running inside, Jazz looks in absolute shock as he sees the KSI raid by Optimus and the rest of the Autobots. Crosshairs, Drift, Hound, Bumblebee, all raiding the base. And this is when Optimus actually executes Joshua Joyce himself. Yeah, a bit of a twist here to the original story. And Jazz looks in horror as he doesn't think Optimus will be capable of executing at least an unarmed person. Seeing this and seeing Jazz's reaction, Jory looks back for the TV for just a moment and asks Jazz what's going on here, but before she turns around, he's gone. We then see him turn into his wolf mode and absolutely blast off in the same, pretty much into the direction of the rest of the Autobots. This is when he actually gets flashbacks of both Ironhide and Ratchet, how they would have reacted to the situation, wondering if how they would have taken this situation had they been around with Optimus. And he wonders himself, could he have stopped it? We then pick up with Harold Attinger, who actually takes over KSI due to the death of Joshua Joyce, and we all had to remember here that he was his partner. He then gives this information to Lockdown, who then uses his tracker to pick up the Autobots, who are actually just casually driving at this point. They're not really thinking too much of it. And then to fast forward, let's say maybe a couple hours later, we then get Galvatron and Stinger going up against Optimus Prime and the rest of the Autobots. As usual, Optimus and Bumblebee save Cade, and Optimus goes on to fight Galvatron here. There's only just one slight difference here. When Lockdown actually interferes and shoots Optimus, okay, this would be the part where Jazz finally catches up. He finally spots them, and, this time he actually helps. So Optimus actually has backup during this fight. However, the second shot still happens, and it still blows through Optimus's chest, blow his back out, pause, and Optimus goes down like in the original. However, before Lockdown again is able to pretty much approach Prime, this is where Jazz pretty much shows up and pretty much stands right in front of Lockdown in this situation. Lockdown not wanting to risk another fight because the last time he did, he almost got himself killed and had to run. He actually tells Jazz to step aside. Jazz, knowing that he's the only thing standing between him and Optimus, just pretty much declines that. Optimus gets up and looks in shock as he sees his old friend transform from his wolf form into his Cybertronian form in front of him. Lockdown then prepares to engage Jazz yet again, saying that this fight won't be like last time. To which Jazz laughs and says, "You're right, because I'm not going to let you live." These two go at it yet again, and Jazz immediately disarms and gets the upper hand on Lockdown immediately. Still stronger, still faster, still tougher. He then takes out his blades and begins to absolutely tear at Lockdown. However, Lockdown is able to regain himself much faster this time and takes out his hook. Using his hook, he's able to slash at Jazz's abdomen and is actually able to counter some of his blades a little bit. So, it's a pretty fair, it gets pretty fair here. But as soon as Lockdown tries to deal the finishing blow, he gets blasted. And this is by none other than Hound. Hound proceeds to launch everything he has against Lockdown, but he is then countered by fire from fellow mercenaries, both the bruiser kind and the regular kind. All right, so yeah, Lockdown does have his own army in this one, which honestly should have happened in Age of Extinction. Jazz then rolls back to give Hound some cover fire, actually taking out his crescent cannon and begins blasting here. He then takes out his blades and tells Hound that he needs to get out of here. Get him and Optimus out of there. All right, while he holds them off. Hound, understanding this, just does what his lieutenant tells him. And this is where we actually see Jazz take out multiple mercenaries. He actually rips the arm off of one, then taking out his crescent cannon again, he blasts the other one and begins just, he begins putting in that work. But this is when he's surprised by Lockdown, who actually uses different rounds this time. He actually uses explosive rounds and shoots two. The first one just, sends Jazz flying. The second one knocks him out. All right. These explosive rounds, let's say they kind of pretty much look like the same fusion cannon Megatron used in the first movie, and they take Jazz completely out the fight. This is when Lockdown then says, "You'll be a worthy trophy for my collection," and then drags Jazz onto the ship. Seeing this, Optimus wants to help out so badly. Optimus just wants to help his friend. However, he can't. He tries to move Hound out of the way, saying that he can't lose any more friends. He can't lose any more Autobots. But Hound tells him, "Don't worry, we'll get him back. Right now, we need to get you fixed up." All right? Optimus reluctantly agrees. Now, this is when we pick up on Lockdown's ship. Let's say an hour later, and Lockdown shows him everything. Jazz even notices a chamber on the side, which housing much bigger, strong, and probably stronger Cybertronians. Lockdown then throws him to a chamber and says he'll be interrogating him later once they find Optimus Prime to know what information he has on this planet, to which Jazz says you'll have better luck interrogating someone like Bumblebee than interrogating him. Lockdown then leads Jazz to his own thoughts, and this is when he's actually greeted by one of his cellmates, Cheetor, the Maximal. Yeah, I would definitely say I would actually have the Maximals in this one, considering they were supposed to be originally a part of Age of Extinction. There's actually concept art for Optimus Primal, so I would actually say the Maximals were originally intended to be a part of Age of Extinction along with the Dinobots, which actually would have been cooler. This is when he meets Optimus Primal, Rhinox, Cheetor, and Airraiser, all introducing themselves to him. And then Optimus Prime actually discusses what kind of Cybertronian is he. He's not Maximal because they never seen him before. To which Jazz pretty much explains how he got his beast form and how he's gotten, everything up to this date. But not explaining the fact that he's partially human now. To which Optimus Primal agrees that they can work together and that they can be allies. However, they need to free themselves and apparently other Cybertronians on this ship. Jazz agrees to this and says that they can make their ways to the weapons vault while he can make his way to the other Cybertronians. This is when he actually reveals that he has a secret weapon, and that's Jolt's whips. Actually, taking out Jolt's whips, he latches them around the chamber and tells them, pretty much extends them and locks them in around the chamber and tells everyone to get in close so that they don't get electrocuted. Optimus Prime then looks in amazement as the electricity bursts throughout the chamber and actually shuts it down without setting off the alarm. Kind of like giving it a short burst that's so fast the alarm can't even keep up with it or even register it. This is when he retracts the whips and states to Optimus Primal to get to the other, to get his weapons, to get everything they need here. This is when Rhinox tells him the location of the chamber, and Jazz and the rest of them head their separate ways. However, at this time, this is when the Autobots also raid the ship, this time with Optimus. Actually, that probably would have been interesting if they raided it with Optimus and disabled it. This is when Crosshairs actually goes his way to disable the ship's hard drives like in the original. Meanwhile, as he does this, he actually spots Jazz taking out and even killing some of the lockdown mercenaries ruthlessly. To which Crosshairs looks excited and looks at, tries to get Jazz to come to him. Actually gets down from the position as he makes his way towards the Dinobot chamber. But as he does this, the Maximals and the Autobots run into each other, and in a panic, they actually engage with each other. The Maximals, using their superior strength in their beast modes, actually pin pretty much each of the couple group, pretty much pin the Autobots. Primal pins Optimus, Rhinox is able to smash Hound into a wall, Airraiser and Cheetor pin Drift and Crosshairs. And Bumblebee, being left by himself, is about to be pretty much unleash a flurry of missiles, but Jazz actually grabs him and is able to stop him in time. He then tells everyone to stand down and that they need to escape together. They also need to work together at this time. And at this time, he pretty much has the Dinobots with him at this time here. As Optimus calls the shots, saying that he's going to disable, lockdown himself to make sure he doesn't come back here. Jazz overrides this command and tells him no, he's going to do it because he has a personal grudge against lockdown. So at this time, Lockdown would be sitting in his I guess you could say in his like command room or his throne room or whatever. And Lockdown would be hearing screams, yells, blaster shots being fired. And as he goes to check it, he gets blasted right through the door by Jazz himself. Jazz blasts him a couple times, actually blasting him to the point where he's on his throne, just completely disabled, completely helpless too. Jazz then takes out his blades and actually stabs Lockdown through both of his shoulders, pinning him directly towards the chair permanently. This is when he disables Lockdown's ship and sends Lockdown flying through pretty much hyperspace like a failure. However, at this time, we would pick up with the Dinobots, Maximals, and Autobots pretty much rolling out or pretty much charging to the Paleto Forest, with Optimus wondering who sent Lockdown after them. Who could it be? This question will be answered with Lockdown being pretty much restrained and, chained up by Quintessa for his failures. He would beg Quintessa that he needs another chance, that these Autobots were far more formidable than he expected, that he had underestimated them, and he wants to correct this mistake. But Quintessa will be having none of it, actually thinking about executing Lockdown, but then she gets a second thought, letting him live for now, in hopes that he could serve him better. And this one, she also enacts her second plan and pretty much activates Galvatron herself. Now, considering she's a prime and they always had godlike power, we could say she actually does this and then uses the nanotech within his body or the Transformium to give him the Last Night body. This is when we get a scene of Paleto Forest where the Autobots, Maximals, and the Dinobots are actually trying to get along together. A little bit of fights here and there, but this is when Jazz pretty much arrives, calming everyone down here. And this is when he addresses Optimus for what he's done. Optimus tells him that he won't be questioned about this and that he's lost so many. To which Jazz pretty much remarks that the other Autobots have also lost friends as well, but they wouldn't execute unarmed warriors. They're not the Wreckers. They're not like this. He tells Optimus that he's better than this, and Optimus gets furious about this, telling him he doesn't know how he feels. He doesn't know the pain and suffering he's had. To which Jazz this time actually shoves Optimus to the ground and calls him a selfish, incompetent leader, telling him that he doesn't get to decide how everyone else should feel about this. Optimus lashes out in anger and actually swings on Jazz, punching him straight through a couple trees. Jazz then gets up and then pretty much drop kicks Optimus on this one, and the two begin to scrap it out on that one. This is when the two pretty much duke it out here. Optimus Prime gets the upper hand for majority of the fight here. And then Jazz takes out his blade, saying that he made the mistake of not taking him out immediately and that he won't be doing that again. This is when Jazz begins to unleash a flurry of pretty much he begins to just cut up Optimus, pretty much stabbing him up. It kind of mirrors the Lockdown versus Optimus fight a little bit, except Jazz is actually using more of his blades instead of his blasters, actually proving to be the better fighter here. This is when he gets the upper hand and is about to actually kill Optimus on this one. And this is when he hears stop. And as Jazz looks up, he sees it's none other than Jury. And he looks almost in horror at what he's done. Jury telling him he's not like this, he shouldn't do this, as these are his people. He has to be better than that. To which Jazz, remarkably shocked about what Jury says, actually agrees with her. To which Jury says, you've been gone for a while, you've been gone for days, it's almost been a week since he's seen him. To which Jazz pretty much explains that he apologizes, but this task has been kind of taxing on him, being blown up, shot at, blown up again, captured, making new friends on top of it, discovering new Cybertronian races, to which Jury kind of laughs at him for, the way he says it. But this is when Jury also holds up her phone and pretty much broadcasts Megatron's message, telling him that this is what's been going on. And Megatron broadcasts this message to the Autobots, to the entire world, that if Optimus doesn't hand himself over, then they'll unleash their greatest weapon. And this is when a meteor crash lands in the Los Santos desert, or at least in the Gran Senora desert, and out emerges the monster himself, Trypticon. The scene closes out with Optimus and Jazz looking to each other and wondering what they should do about this. And that's where we're going to leave off here, you guys. Trypticon has been brought to Earth. The Decepticons are back, along with Lockdown and his mercenaries, all working for Quintessa, looking for Optimus Prime. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys later for the next chapter. Peace.